All right, y'all, I got a bunch of huge breaking news here for you. So we just learned, like literally 5 minutes ago, that Ghislaine Maxwell has just been transferred to a new federal prison in Texas. She was being held in Tallahassee, Florida. Now she's going to Bryan, Texas. And the reason is the facility in Bryan, Texas is a lower level facility for crimes that are not as severe, and it's a nicer facility. So it looks like the wheels are in motion, dog. Trump is seriously going to give a pardon to Ghislaine Maxwell if Ghislaine clears his name and says, oh, Trump had nothing to do with Epstein. It was all these Democrats that had something to do with Epstein. So this is the most obvious cover-up we've ever seen in our entire lives, and it's happening right in front of our faces on a daily basis. The thing that's crazy to me is, like, I don't understand how he doesn't realize that everybody knows what this is, right? Like, the MAGA freaks and losers will pretend like, oh yeah, Trump is totally innocent. See, Ghislaine said it. But everybody else knows, like, there's clearly a sweetheart deal going on here where she lies to protect him so she gets out of prison. And by the way, let's be clear, Ghislaine, according to the victims themselves, Ghislaine was just as bad, if not worse, than Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine literally referred to the girls who Epstein took advantage of as slaves, and they're sex slaves. She also participated in the grapes. She is a grapist herself. So I need everybody to understand that this is something where even the victims say, she's a monster, she's a bigger monster than Jeffrey Epstein, and Trump is about to free a pedophile, rapist, human sex trafficker in order to fake clear his name and try to point the finger at the Democrats when it comes to the Epstein scandal. So this is incredible. The fact that she was moved to a lower level prison, a nicer facility, they're already basically giving her a sweetheart deal in order to get her to say the things they want her to say. This is incredible that this is happening right in front of our eyes, guys. It's wild. So we also have, this just came out as well about an hour or two ago, but according to Bloomberg, the FBI has redacted Trump's name in the Epstein files. Quote, an FBI Freedom of Information Act team redacted Trump's name and the names of other prominent public figures from the documents, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. So, in other words, protecting his own ass, obviously, lying, obviously, but quite literally doing the exact opposite of what he said he would do on the campaign trail. When he was on the campaign trail, he said, we're going to release the Epstein files. Why was Bill Clinton on the island 28 times? Why was he on his plane? I don't understand. He said he was only on 4, but he was on 28. We're going to release those files. That island was a cesspool. That island was a cesspool. And then now that he's in power, it's quick, hide not only my name, but also the names of other billionaires and celebrities and politicians and powerful people. Like I said, my guess is he's going to try to get Ghislaine to single out like a few Democrats and say, like, see, this was a Democrat problem. This had nothing to do with me. This had nothing to do with Republicans. But in reality, again, the cover-up is right in front of our eyes. And we already knew, there was already reporting that the FBI was told by Trump, hey, find all the places where my name is mentioned in the Epstein files. Well, now we know the reason they did it is to redact it. So they're, again, right in front of our face, a colossal cover-up. And you all know, and everybody knows, hey, this guy was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a decade. Epstein is on literal audio tape saying that. We know that there are squirrely connections to a bunch of child sex traffickers. Trump was friends with a bunch of, big wig playboys who wound up being fredophiles who ran teen modeling agencies, and those modeling agencies were just a front for human trafficking. And Trump had his own modeling agency as well. It was him, John Casablancas, Jean-Luc Brunel. These are all well-known fredophiles and criminals, and this is who Trump ran with. These are the circles he ran in. And so we got all these connections, a whole bunch of evidence tying Trump to Epstein and having Trump engage directly in criminal activity and literally burying all of it right in front of our faces. And like I said, the MAGA base will eat it up when Ghislaine clears Trump's name and singles out Democrats, even though this is the biggest cover-up and the biggest joke and the fakest exoneration I've ever seen in my entire life. So we also got word, I should point out, that the camera, remember the video that was released by the DOJ and the FBI? The camera, the prison video, was not even pointed at Epstein's cell. It was pointed in a completely different direction. So they lied multiple times, right? They lied. First of all, they said the cell that was his cell is different than the one that they said the second time, right? So there's a contradiction in which cell they said was his. Then they implied, like, yeah, this camera's pointing at the cell. Come to find out that's not true. It wasn't pointed at the cell, but it's basically pointed like in a diagonal direction across the like lobby of the jail, and you can see a little piece of a staircase that leads to Jeffrey Epstein's cell. And in that video, some internet sleuths decided to go through like all the crucial portions of it, and there actually is a mystery person who walks up those stairs just before Epstein is killed. And they're wearing, they call it an orange blob, but in reality what we're looking at is an orange jumpsuit that the person has on. So the orange jumpsuit, of course, is another prisoner, right? And there was already speculation about, there was some like crooked New York cop, some corrupt New York cop who was in there, who they speculated that he's the one who killed Epstein. And now it looks like there's evidence it was indeed somebody wearing an orange jumpsuit who probably did the deed. So this is another piece that just came out. So remember, 3 minutes missing from the video when they released it. Originally we thought it was 1 minute missing. Wrong, it was 3 minutes missing. Now we see another mystery figure in the video. So in an attempt to disprove that Epstein was murdered, it turns out the evidence is pointing in the other direction, that indeed he was murdered. So wild stuff. These updates are crazy, and Trump is absolutely terrified. He is scrambling to hide his dark past with Epstein. And we're like, for the life of me, I can't understand why we're the only ones bringing up these older stories which have resurfaced. You know, like, for example, the rappers who came out and said, I went to a Trump party and there were underage girls there and they were having sex and doing drugs and Trump was participating. Why is nobody else talking about this? Why is nobody else talking about that New York Daily News article where they talked about underage sex parties at Trump properties, Trump hotels, again, that he participated in? Like, why is nobody talking about the 7 times that Trump was on Epstein's jet? All we've gotten is, hey, here's some new pictures with Trump and Epstein. But there's way more than that out there, and I don't know why. All it would take is CNN to run the story on what we reported on this channel and others reported before us about Trump's teenage modeling agency being a front for human trafficking, and that would be the fucking nail in the coffin, dog. Like, that story alone would fucking blow up, and it would implode his presidency at this point. You got him on the fucking ropes. Why are you not talking about this shit? Just like right before the election, we got the word that Trump was best friends with Epstein for a decade. It was like literally a week or two before the election. That story came out. Nobody talked about it. Nobody ran it. It's insane. The media malpractice that we see on a daily basis. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about this, because this is wild as well. I couldn't believe this when I read it last night. Under pressure from the White House, the Smithsonian has removed President Trump from the impeachment exhibit at the American History Museum. So the exhibit now says that only 3 presidents have seriously faced removal, referring to Johnson, Nixon, and Clinton. So the exhibit was rolled back to what it looked like in 2008. That is fucking absurd, because Trump was impeached twice. He was impeached twice. And it got through the House both times. And when it got to the Senate, I believe the first time it was about, I think it was like 46 or 47 votes in favor of impeachment of Trump. That was the first impeachment. The second impeachment, do you guys remember this? I think the number was 58 senators voted for impeaching him in the Senate. Now, that's not enough. It's not just a simple majority to get it through, but that's like a record in terms of how many votes? 58 voted in favor of impeachment, and he's trying to bury this entire history. And of course, that impeachment came after January 6th, after the fake electors slate. So, the fact that he's literally trying to rewrite history, this is like North Korea type shit. This is like primitive dictator, banana republic type shit. This isn't subtle. This is like so fucking ham-handed. This is disgusting and grotesque. And the fact that Smithsonian fucking caved. Are you kidding me, bro? You gotta be kidding me. Like, I don't care what he threatened. You gotta stand your ground on this shit. I don't care what sort of fucking, the federal government's gonna cut off this amount of money or that amount of money or whatever it may be. Motherfucker, go to the media. Go to the press. Talk about how he's shaking you down to literally try to rewrite history. And then I'm sure there's some fucking liberal billionaire out there or some shit, or you could even try to crowdfund it, grassroots fund, whatever funds you're losing with the pressure that the federal government is applying. I'm sure that can be made up and then some. But to capitulate, why do people never learn this lesson in history? You cannot give the fascist an inch. They will take a mile. That's what's happened every single time. That's why, lawsuits, law firms were bending the knee, and then Trump was asking for way more than he originally said he wanted, and then they had to fucking, back out and say, I don't know about this anymore. Universities, same shit. Like, you're never going to appease them. You're never going to stay on King Joffrey's good side all the time. So this is just so crazy to me. It fucking shame on them and shame on the federal government. I mean, by the way, guys, we'll talk about this more in a little bit. In fact, here, let's actually bring it up now because it leads into this conversation. But now the Trump regime just announced they're going to build a massive $200 million gold-plated ballroom at the White House. Now, mind you, this is immediately after they signed the big bullshit bill, which kicks 17 million people off their Medicaid. 17 million people. So at the same time, kick 17 million people off Medicaid, kick 3 million people off food stamps. You're going to build I think it's a 90,000 square foot, $200 million gold-plated ballroom. He's turning the White House into fucking Versailles, bro. That's what he's doing. He's going to have the let them eat cake moment. And by the way, if you want to bring back Gilded Age politics, you can't be mad when people bring back guillotines. You know what I'm saying? But the important point here is, as you all know, he destroyed the Rose Garden and is putting, a god-awful patio back there to try to make it look like fucking Mar-a-Lago. Now he wants to build this gigantic ballroom which would dwarf, the White House itself. And what's the takeaway here? Between this shit and, like I just told you, literally trying to rewrite history and hide his impeachments at the Smithsonian, I don't think he wants to leave, bro. Homie's not going to leave in 2028. Now, look, it's a wild conversation because at the same time, there's evidence his health will not hold up until then, right? He's damn near 80 years old. He's very overweight. He's got edema in his legs. Could be sign of heart failure or something to that effect. He's not healthy. He's not healthy. Cognitively, he's struggling. That's all very obvious. But assuming he's still alive come 2028, he is not going to want to leave. And we saw in 2020, he didn't want to leave. And he did the fake elector slate. And he did January 6th. And he did lie about the election and say that he won, right? And this, I'm telling you, man, the nightmare is not anywhere near over. This motherfucker is going to be the death of us if it really comes down to it. If his health stays enough intact, he's going to try to stay in past 2028. Every move he's making indicates that, dog. Every single move he's making. All right, more. So, Trump decided it would be a good idea to bring back, what's it called, the presidential fitness test or something, which I don't even remember this, to be honest. I mean, I was born in 1988. I don't know when they stopped doing it the first time, but I have zero recollection of this whatsoever. But apparently it was a thing, the presidential fitness test, where at schools they, do some sit-ups, do some push-ups, run a couple miles or whatever the fuck. And so he's bringing that back. And so he had this big signing event at the White House, and so you had a bunch of people behind him. So you had Triple H, the wrestler. Fuck him, by the way. And this is coming from a guy, I was a big WWE guy, man. The Attitude Era, WWE, D-Generation X. Shout out to Sean Waltman, X-Pac. He's my boy. He watches the show all the time. Love you, man. Hope you're doing good. But I was a huge fan, but Triple H, who was one of the bigger names at the time, and now pretty much helps run WWE, just like with the UFC assholes, he's snuggling up to Trump. And it's I don't think you guys get it. This isn't just a difference of opinion. No, this is the guy's a fucking dyed-in-the-wool fascist. He tried to steal the 2020 election. He's got concentration camps that are open right now. He just illegally bombed Iran, illegally bombed Yemen, illegally bombed Somalia, wants to take Greenland and take Mexico. I mean, rounding up innocent people, launching a stupid fucking trade war, which is destroying the economy. More on that in a minute, by the way. And so to have somebody like Triple H snuggle up to him, it's go fuck yourself, bro. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. I hope this is a stain on your record from now until the end of fucking time. Everybody who hitched their wagon to this bloated war criminal, corrupt, narcissist, buffoon, maniac, criminal, we see you. We see you. So Triple H was there. Bryson DeChambeau was there. Again, that's a fucking shame. This guy, he did a YouTube video with Trump. He's sort of snuggled up to this guy also, which is fucking disgusting. But he also had, ready for this? He had Lawrence Taylor. the NFL player, retired of course, Lawrence Taylor, guess what? At this event, which again was about the presidential fitness test for kids, bringing it back, you bring Lawrence Taylor, a registered sex offender who was involved with a 16-year-old girl and was found guilty. I think paid to have sex with some like underage girl or something like that. This is who you bring to the fucking presidential fitness test announcement, which is about children. Like, understand what he's doing, guys. He is trying to normalize these sorts of crimes and these sorts of people, right? And if you're a star, they let you do it. If you're a star, they let you do it. Trump believes that celebrities and politicians and these famous assholes, they are above the rest of us. They are different from the rest of us. They play by a different set of rules, dog. So Trump can be besties with Epstein and fucking get away with it and tell you to shut the fuck up, right? He can bring Lawrence Taylor there and act like it's not a big deal and have, oh, hey, you want to do the presidential fitness thing? Go hang out with the kids and show them how it's done. No, keep that guy away from kids. What are we talking about, dog? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, if any other president just casually brought a fucking sex offender who was involved with a 16-year-old to a presidential event at the White House, it'd be the fucking end of that president. But this guy does it, nobody fucking bats an eyelash or talks about it. I can't, man. I can't. All right, so we also got this from Kenneth Vogel. He says, FEC records show that a woman by the name of Elizabeth Fago donated $1 million to MAGA Inc., which is the Trump super PAC, in April, okay? Then she attended a fundraising dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago on April 4th. Then she lobbied Trump to pardon her son, who pleaded guilty to tax crimes. Guess what? 3 weeks later, Trump pardoned the guy. So now this is very clear, very direct, very straightforward evidence. It's pretty black and white. Trump seriously has a system set up where you can pay for pardons. If you're wealthy, if you're a celebrity, if you're a politician, if you're a businessman, if you're wealthy and you white collar crime or whatever it may be, you give him a certain amount of money and he'll take care of it. He will pardon you or commute your sentence and he'll make sure that's wiped from your record and you're all set. You're good to go. Which is why, by the way, now there's also reporting Trump is seriously considering pardoning P. Diddy. Now, he was already friends with P. Diddy. There's a million pictures of them together. They were at parties together and all sorts of shit, right? But now there's reporting he's seriously considering pardoning P. Diddy. And guess what? I'm sure this will be the same sort of shit happening where all Diddy or his team has to do, little wire transfer here, skis, and then boom, Trump will pardon you. And so think about it. Trump is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, the child sex trafficker, pedophile, rapist, one of the most prominent ones in literal history, going to pardon her and going to pardon Diddy. I mean, he literally is just like objectively pro-crime and pro-criminal. Yeah, I need you to understand that. Even going back to the pardoning of the 1,600 January 6ers. By the way, hundreds of them were violent criminals. He didn't care. Even his own team was shocked because they thought, oh yeah, we'll pardon some of the ones who were non-violent and got caught up in the shit. No, he was like, I'll pardon the violent ones too. I don't give a fuck. Some of them went on to be pedophiles. Some of them went on to kill people after they were freed by Trump. So, I mean, this is who he is. This is who he is, and this is what he's doing. We have a literal system set up where they can pay for pardons. Unbelievable. All right, now let's also talk about this bombshell from the Washington Post. They say that, remember the story of Andre Hernandez? This is the guy, I believe, 19-year-old gay Venezuelan makeup artist who was in the U.S. legally. And then he was rounded up by Trump's thugs, his ICE Gestapo thugs, and he was deported. He was kidnapped and human trafficked to El Salvador, to the CCOT mega prison, which is really a gulag or a concentration camp. He was one of at least 288 people who were sent there. Anywhere from 70 to 90% of them have no criminal record whatsoever. Well, the Washington Post just reported that when Andre Hernandez was at CCOT, he was raped. He was raped. They say 4 men entered and began touching him with their clubs and putting them between his legs. One forced Hernandez to perform oral sex on him, he said. There's also, more detail about him being beat up. So tortured, forced beatings, sleep deprivation, all sorts of stuff that various people who were at CCOT. They're now telling their stories, and this is what happened. Because eventually what they did is they took the inmates, and I guess there was too much heat, there was too much pressure, there was too much focus on it in the U.S. media, and they were getting kind of skittish. The dictator of El Salvador, Bukele, decided, let me just send these people to Venezuela. So they rounded up the people that they had in CCOT who were Americans, or sent from America, and sent them to Venezuela. And now a lot of them are now finally talking to journalists, and they're saying, I was raped, I was beaten, I was tortured on a daily basis. It was the worst time in my life. And look, all I have to say is they stole a year off this man's life. They effectively ruined his life. They kicked him out of the place that was his home. I hope he gets to sue the fucking shit out of them, and I hope this man is set for life. For what he had to go through, he deserves $100 million. For what this man had to go through, for what all of them had to fucking go through. The disgusting deprivation of human rights, basic civil liberties and human rights. No due process, no habeas corpus, no ability to make your case, just sent to a fucking gulag on a whim. We need new Nuremberg trials, and people need to go down for this. Donald Trump needs to go down for this. Kristi Noem needs to go down for this. Stephen Miller needs to go down for this. Bukele needs to go down for this. Every ICE Gestapo thug who's out there covering their fucking faces because they're the criminals, they all need to go down for this. All right. So we got to talk a little bit about the economy because we just got some devastating numbers today. So the jobs report just came in, and it's horrible for the Trump regime. So first of all, get this. In May, the number that they said there were 144,000 jobs created. That's what they said for May. Well, guess what? They just revised that down to 19,000 jobs created. It went from 144,000 created to now just 19,000 created. Oh boy. Okay. Then we get June. Okay, so they originally said, oh, in June we created 147,000 jobs. Guess what? The actual number, 14,000. Oh boy. So now July, ready for this? They say, oh, we created 73,000 jobs in July. So that was under what they expected, right? But now watch, when this number gets revived, when we get better data, it's going to end up being we didn't gain any jobs. We lost jobs, right? We lost 100,000 or whatever the fuck it is. Guys, the recession is here. The recession is here. This is what you need to understand. Trump's stupid fucking trade war, making all of our allies hate us, right? Putting on tariffs, taking off tariffs, putting on tariffs, taking off tariffs. You know, the business environment is absolutely atrocious. It's absolutely horrific. Nobody's going to build a factory here now. They can't even afford the raw materials to build the fucking factories here now. Everybody's running into the loving arms of China. Everybody's making trade deals around the U.S. now and trying to get off the U.S. dollar. And in fact, they said we lost, what was it? I think 26,000 factory jobs in July alone, I think it was. Bro, like, this man is going to destroy the economy. And I've said nothing to this point about the inflation that we're already witnessing. We're already, like, the price of coffee has fucking skyrocketed. Other things as well are skyrocketing and will continue to go up. Because now people were planning for the tariffs, and they like, you know, bought a lot of inventory, but now the inventory that they had as backup is running low. So the prices are only going to go in one direction, dog, and it's going to go up, 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 up. So unemployment is going up at the same time prices are going up. People are furious, dog. That's why we covered that poll the other day. He's 6 months into his term, and his approval rating on inflation is already as low as Biden's was. He's been in there 6 months, dog. It was like 37% to 37%. His economic numbers are going to doom him. In fact, Rolling Stone is just out with an article where young people said, oh, the reason why I supported Trump, for the ones who did, is I thought he would lower prices for shit. You know, that was the main thing, is I thought, oh, he'll find a way to get the economy under control, make things more affordable, et cetera, et cetera. Literally the exact opposite is happening. The exact opposite. So prices are going up, more people are getting laid off, and at the same time, they're destroying the social safety net, so you have nowhere to go when you need help. 17 million people kicked off Medicaid, 3 million people kicked off food stamps, right? I mean, this is a catastrophe. We're looking at an absolute catastrophe, and this is just the beginning of the end, y'all. It really is, just the beginning. All right, now, let's talk a little bit about so, as you all know, I mean, Israel literally is implementing its final solution in Gaza, and it's starving to death countless innocent people. They kill about 100 people per day They shoot at them and kill them. And it's just, the world has sort of hit a breaking point where now you got people, even people who you wouldn't expect from countries that are allied with Israel, even they don't have the stomach for it. And so they're coming up with a plan and saying certain things. We'll get to more on that in a little bit because I do have to talk a little bit about that later. But, so it's even gone through on CNN. You've seen these segments where they talk about, yeah, Israel is starving Palestinians to death, which they usually were not that clear. We're not that straightforward. We're not that direct. But it's at the point where it's undeniable and everybody knows what this is and how the history books are going to view it, right? So somebody from Amnesty International went on CNN and told Wolf Blitzer that Israel is committing genocide and deliberately starving Gaza's population. So this is the official finding of the Amnesty International, and every other human rights group you could think of, it doesn't matter who it is. Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, whoever, they all say the same shit. It's a genocide. They're starving Gaza's population on purpose. So Wolf Blitzer's sitting there listening to this, and he ends by asking the following question, quote, "Does Amnesty International still condemn Hamas?" At this point, this is beyond parody. Wolf Blitzer should be fired. This motherfucker should be fired. I swear to God, he's like one of those dolls where you pull the string on the back of the doll. Do you condemn Hamas? I don't know why I made it a parrot, but you get the point. Really? That's what you ask in this moment? Every day we get new pictures of starving, emaciated kids who are dying. Every day we see that. Just people who are absolutely broken, crying, lost every member of their family, walking 12 kilometers to get food and then getting shot in the face. We covered the story of Amir the other day from the GHF Whistleblower. Said this 5-year-old got scraps of food, kissed the hand of the American, was so thankful for it, right? Then walked away and got killed by the IDF. This is the shit that's happening on a daily basis, and this is your fucking contribution to the conversation, Wolf Blitzer. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're a disgusting human being. You're a pathetic, disgusting human being who can't empathize with a fucking genocide going on right in front of your eyes where people are getting starved to death. I can't, the Zionist talking points are so deeply embedded, they can't shake free of it. They can't shake free of it. You could watch 2 years straight of a murder fest, a murder spree, bombing hospitals and schools and UN buildings and tents, sniping kids in the face, having Israeli civilians doing right-to-rape protests because there's a mass rape problem with Palestinian prisoners getting raped by the IDF. All this stuff, water off a duck's ass. Does Amnesty International still condemn Hamas? What the fuck does that have to do with the finding, which is factual, that Israel is committing a genocide and starving Palestinians to death right this moment, and we need to fucking stop that? What does that have to do with it? They can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. Wolf Blitzer is disgusting. He should fucking apologize, and he should resign in disgrace. He should be fired. He should be fired. This is unacceptable. The world's done with this. We're done with it. We're not playing this fucking game anymore. This fucking game, the cry bully bullshit, where the people doing the genocide, you're hurting the feelings of the people who are casually sitting back and watching the genocide happen and not sure which side to take. Fuck you. We don't care about your fucking feelings. We don't care. Stop the murder. Stop all the murdering. Stop all the starvation. Now, not only do you need food in there, you need, medical experts who know how to deal with malnutrition. Because you got to nurse these people back to health. It's not as simple as, hey, here's some bread. You'll be all right if you eat it. Their bodies are eating their own organs right now. This is beyond 5-alarm fire, dog. We're witnessing an atrocity just like the fucking Holocaust, except it's live streamed. And all you have to say, Wolf Blitzer, is, do you condemn Hamas? Oh my God, bro. I'm going to lose it. All right, so now let me also tell you this. As you know, there's been a lot of talk with this GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation whistleblower. He came out and basically validated what we've been saying and what a bunch of articles that we covered explained, which is this is really like a CIA Mossad front, where it's not actually about getting help to Palestinians. It's not. It's got nothing to do with that whatsoever. It's like you lure them somewhere, right? They end up killing a lot of the people who are just trying to get their food and water and survive, right? And then eventually the move is, hey, whoever remains, let's ship them out of the country. Let's send them to Libya or whoever else they can make a deal with to take some of these Palestinians. That's the point of this thing. Because we already had, the UN was already doing food distribution stuff. Other groups were already doing food distribution stuff. It was Israel and the U.S. said, you're banned from doing that. We're not allowing you to do that anymore. We're going to do it now. And they came up with this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. But again, it's a big con. So there's a whistleblower who was working on this thing, actually expecting it to be like humanitarian aid. And when he was there, he's like, he literally said, the horrors I've seen here were worse than I've seen ISIS up front. I've seen the Taliban up front. The IDF is more barbaric than they are. That's not me speaking, that's him. We literally covered him saying that the other day. Okay, so because of this guy, and God bless this guy, Aguilar is his last name. What is it? Anthony Aguilar is that his name? He went on Breaking Points the other day. He went on Tucker. We covered a whole bunch of things that he said on our show, and he's getting out there, and thank God he's doing it, because here you have an American. By the way, this guy, totally apolitical. Totally apolitical. He's a registered independent. He wrote his own name in the last election. Not a Trump guy, just like a normal guy, right? So he's exposing all the horrors that are happening, and in direct reaction to that, you had the United States government decided, okay, we got to find a way to like quell this fucking outrage over what's happening. So Steve Witkoff, who's Trump's like main foreign policy guy, and Mike Huckabee, who's the U.S. ambassador to Israel, they set up this like propaganda tour where they're going to visit the aid distribution sites, the GHF aid distribution sites. And so now I'll turn it over to Drop Site News here. They say the following: a Palestinian journalist, Osama Abu Rabi, describes a staged and deeply cynical performance at U.S.-backed aid distribution centers in Gaza designed to whitewash Israeli atrocities and present a false image of order and humanity. He highlights the following: staged calm. Aid sites today appeared organized and civilized, no gunfire, no repression, no tear gas, no stampedes, and no casualties. Those things happen every other time. A sharp contrast to the deadly chaos documented daily. There's a propaganda theater. Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, was brought in to witness and legitimize this carefully constructed scene, which Abu Rabi calls a deception meant to erase the reality of mass killings at these sites. So in other words, and this is described by Aguilar, the whistleblower, he says, anytime they open one of these sites, the IDF starts opening fire, shooting over people's heads, shooting people and killing people directly, shooting tear gas, like shooting all these different sorts of rounds to do crowd control. Really is to fucking mass murder because they want a mass murder. This day, nobody did that. Oh, wow, what a shock. So you bring in the Americans to do a propaganda tour, and all of a sudden, hey, look, everything's going smoothly. There's no problem here at all. They continue, erasure of evidence. The performance aims to discredit thousands of videos and eyewitness testimonies documenting the deaths of nearly 1,000 Palestinians killed while seeking aid. Stop and think about that. They murdered 1,000 Palestinians who were just trying to get food and survive. Selective aid. Distribution today was reportedly limited to families loyal to Yasser Abu Shabab's forces, an armed gang backed by Israel, excluding the general starving population. Oh my God. So remember those stories? We covered them when they came out. I believe it was Haaretz that originally reported it. But Israel is paying literal ISIS gangs to go in there, and whenever any food aid is let in, they tell these ISIS gangs, you steal the food. And so they do it, and then Israel turns around and goes, oh, we tried to send the food in, but Hamas stole it. It's not Hamas. It's your paid ISIS thugs who you are literally in bed with. All right, and then more, they say withdrawal of violence. Tanks and snipers were removed for the day, making room for what Abu Rabi calls a deception ceremony to sanitize the image of a system responsible for bloodshed and hunger. So this is what's happening. And by the way, as I believe Dropside also pointed this out, this is literally something that Nazi Germany did to try to tell the world, hey, there's nothing to see here, bro. There's nothing to see here, bro. Look at this Potemkin village we got over here. They like cleaned it up and put a coat of paint on it and took all the elderly and sickly people and shipped them out to Auschwitz and kept only the younger, more vibrant looking people there. And they put on a play for people to come see. And they said, oh no, look, it's a Jewish only run town. They have their own town that we gave them. Aren't we so nice? This is the same shit. Oh, our aid distribution centers, there's no problems here. Everything's great. I don't know what you're talking about. Look, and so then Witkoff and Huckabee are going to come back and go, there's no problem. Israel's doing a great job with getting the aid in there. This is fucking sick, bro. This is sick that we're living through this shit. Everybody should be able to see through this, man. Everybody should be able to see through this. I should also point out that another American citizen, Kamis Abdul Latif Ayad, was just murdered by illegal Israeli settlers today. Another arson attack killed him. And this is on top of, remember, there was another American citizen, Saifollah Musalet, who was killed on July 11th. So I forget the exact number, but we're looking at like 7, 8, maybe 10 American citizens who have been murdered by Israel directly. And our bitch-ass bought and paid for government hasn't said dick. They've said nothing. So think about where we're at. They don't even care enough to say, hey, protect the American citizens. Take care of the American citizens. Don't kill American citizens. Now we have to sanction you. In fact, one of the guys who I believe was a filmmaker for No Other Land, that West Bank documentary, was just murdered by an illegal Israeli settler. That illegal settler was sanctioned by Biden. Trump just lifted the sanctions on that guy, and that guy just killed a filmmaker for No Other Land, which is a fucking like Oscar-winning documentary about what it's like living in the West Bank. I mean, we're living in hell. This is hell. We're witnessing hell. Our government doesn't even care enough to try to protect American citizens from rabid, disgusting, terrorist, illegal Israeli settlers. What a sick joke. AIPAC not only needs to register as a foreign agent, they need to be fucking banned. They need to be banned. The Israel lobby needs to be banned, dog. Look at how much they've destroyed this country. It's fucking ridiculous. All right, more. Oh, man, I've been babbling for a while, huh? Yeah, 36 minutes, okay. All right, so I also have this here for you. Brown University just agreed to pay a $50 million settlement to the Trump regime to restore frozen federal research funding after being targeted in part over pro-Palestine protests on campus. So, yeah, look, I don't know why, again, I for the life of me, I'll never understand why any of these people capitulated even a little fucking bit. You basically agreed to get extorted by the Trump regime. That's what you did. You said, sure, extort us. That's fine. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's some bitch-ass shit, bro. And now you laid the precedent. This is what they're going to try to do with fucking everybody. And so under this agreement, Brown must end diversity targets and strip DEI promotion from its programs, bar gender-affirming care for minors. What? Allow federal monitoring and on-site interviews. Jesus. So have the federal government look over your shoulder at everything you teach and fund programs to support a thriving Jewish community, education about Israel, and Judaic studies. So understand something. This is all bullshit. The reality is, you better not say anything positive about Palestinians. You better not say anything anti-Israel. If you do, we'll wage another lawsuit. We'll try to cut off more of your funding. That is what this is. That is what's going on here. There are no protections for Arab or Muslim students, but now it's like they make it seem like, oh, it's all about protecting Jewish students. No, it's not. It's about protecting Israel is what it is. Not allowed to criticize Israel. So now that's great. Now the federal government, a fascist regime, now gets to hyper monitor everything going on at universities, and the universities get extorted by them and play along. Really great stuff, man. It's amazing. We've said this a lot, but it's amazing how quickly fascism took over. It wasn't slow. It was just like you blinked and all of a sudden, boom, the fascists are here. All right, now let's talk about this. So Kamala Harris came out and said, she's dropping a new book. 107 Days is the name of the book. It's, of course, about, her campaign, and they had to scrap everything together and get it done in 107 days. And so she was releasing that book. She also went on Colbert the other night, last night. And I think Colbert asked her, if she's going to run again. And so she's not running for California governor. She released a statement saying that, which I was upset by that because I'd rather her run for California governor, because if she's not running for California governor, I think she might have eyes on the White House again, right? And then the fact that she's releasing this book, 107 Days, that's further evidence that, man, she might run for the White House. Because if you're not running for California governor and you're releasing a book, the book thing is always like, for whatever reason, everybody before they run for president, they feel the need to release a fucking book. So she releases this book, and yeah, I don't know. I'll ask you guys, do you think she's going to run? I fear she is going to run, because there's a lot of polls where she's still number one. When she's not number one, she's like close to number one in the polls. She slipped a little bit in some polls where she drops down to third or fourth, but she's up there in virtually everyone, and name recognition alone is a fucking huge thing, right? So I don't know. I'm thinking she might run again, and I'm not sure that's the way we should be going, bro. In this moment, here's the thing, right? If Kamala was out there really leading the charge against Trump, if Kamala was out there calling out his fascism, calling out his concentration camps, calling out his illegal bombing campaigns, calling out his fucking trade war, calling out his destruction of this entire country and destruction of our immigration system, and if she was doing that, it'd be a different story. It's like, okay, she's clearly taking the reins, she clearly wants to lead, and maybe she would build such a name for herself that she would become inevitable in that scenario. But in reality, she went and she fucking hid, right? And so I don't know. I don't know, but right now I'm leaning 55 to 60% likelihood that she does run. But I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that. I think we need a fighter. I think we need somebody who's on top of it. And when she was on Colbert, she actually said something that was sort of almost like black-pilled Kamala, like nihilist Kamala, where she was like, look, I've been inside the system and I'm outside the system, and let me tell you something. The system is so fucking broken, you have no idea. And so right now I'm trying to stay outside the system. And if that is the truth, then that means, you know, hey, she might stay out of the government. There's shit that she likes to do, bro. She's a more well-adjusted person than most people. I know she loves cooking, and she comes alive every time she's cooking, and she could do like a fucking little cooking show or some shit, and she would fucking love it. If what she said was true, that she feels better outside of the system, then, man, stay outside the system. But I'm starting to think she might actually run again, and it'll be interesting if she does. But, you know, the fact that she's disappeared and has not been a leader when we need him in this moment, I think people will hold that against her, and she would have a chance if she ran in 2028, but I don't know. I think her time has come and gone a little bit, if you ask me. All right, so now I wanted to bring up El Salvador just approved indefinite presidential re-election and extended the presidential terms to 6 years. So this is Bukele, who called himself a dictator in the past, being a dictator, moving in that direction. And don't ever say, oh, this can't happen here, because it literally is happening here right now. And this is a warning, right? This is a warning. This is to let Americans know, hey, this is in your future, bro. This is in our future. That, oh, we'll get rid of the fucking 2-term limit. Yeah, why would we even have that in place? We'll extend the presidential terms. Like I said, with Trump building that fucking giant ballroom at the White House and getting rid of the Rose Garden, he's not acting like he's going to leave. He's acting like he's going to stay, because I think he's going to stay. All right, if his health holds up, of course. I also wanted to talk about this. Congressman Randy Fine. This is the disgusting MAGA hog who comes out seemingly every other day and says Palestinians should starve to death, and he loves looking at pictures of starving Palestinians, and he thinks Gaza should be nuked like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The guy also weighs like 600 fucking pounds, and he's a disgusting pig. So he came out and he said the following: it took one call. She has been suspended until an expulsion hearing and has been trespassed from campus. In Florida, we don't mess around with Muslim terrorism. Now it's my job to make the rest of the country do the same. So what Randy Fine is saying here is he applied pressure to college, to Florida State specifically, to expel a student who simply said the words, quote, "fuck Israel." Randy Fine, that's a little thing I like to call free speech. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in free speech. I believe in the best of American values. That person's allowed to say that shit. You're going to get them fucking expelled? You're going to get their schooling situation ruined because your fucking feelings got hurt because you're a little Israel dick rider? I can't stand these people, dog. I can't stand these people. All the same fucking assholes who claim they love free speech and that's all they care about and that's their big thing. And then the second that they get in power, oh my God. Anybody and everybody who pisses them off, who has the opposite opinion, they can't wait to ruin their lives. They can't wait to get them fired. They can't wait to get them fucking expelled. And that's what he's doing here. And that's what he's doing. So imagine bragging. You're a fucking U.S. congressman and you're bragging that you got a Muslim student suspended for saying fuck Israel at a time when Israel is doing a genocide. Hell yeah, it's fuck Israel, bitch. It's fuck Israel now. It's fuck Israel tomorrow. It's fuck Israel indefinitely in the future. They're doing a genocide. They are an apartheid, ethno-state, fascist state. Bro, absolutely fuck them. But no, now basically he's trying to make it illegal. Hey, you can lose, you can get kicked out of your college, your university, for saying fuck Israel. Fuck out of here, bro. This guy's got to fucking lose. So extreme, even AIPAC was scared to, like, be affiliated with him moving forward. We also got the horrible news that student loan payments for nearly 8 million borrowers are set to skyrocket starting today. The Department of Education is set to end a repayment plan known as the SAVE Act, which is a serious blow to borrowers already struggling to make payments on student loans. So this is devastating. We told you guys early on that this is what Trump was going to do. Trump was going to try to bring back the student loan payments and also send them back to their original number. So like before you got some relief, you know what I'm saying? So let's bring it back and also make it more expensive. That's what they're doing. And now that's kicking in. So it's just an absolute horror show. Horror show. There was also this big story that came out from Fortune magazine. Bots now account for over half of global internet traffic. That is disturbing, because now we're at the point where it's like dead internet theory is kind of real. You know, the idea that, like, how do we know these are actually other people online? How do I know I'm just not, you know, conversing with like fake people with AI, with bots? And the reality is over half of global internet traffic is now bots. Get this, ready? Twitter, specifically, 76% of Twitter are bots, according to this report. 76%. Bro, what? We got to clean this whole bitch up, dog. Like, we got to clean it up completely. And the other thing is, like, eventually the bubble's going to burst too, with all like ad money that goes to podcasts and shit like that online. Because as soon as these companies realize, like, hey, wait a second, this isn't actually like 200,000 views. This is maybe like whatever, 23,000 views. I'm not getting a bang for my buck. This is not translating into people actually buying my product. Eventually advertisers are going to run away, because they're going to look at this and say, oh, the internet's just fake. So why would I spend money on the internet? Why would I advertise on the internet? And so this is not good. What we're looking at here is not good. You really got to clean up the internet completely, because this is wild. More than half the traffic are bots, and Twitter is 76% bots, but it makes sense, because when you look around sometimes you feel like that's the case. Well, it is the case. So we also just learned that Canada and France and the UK and a bunch of countries, Portugal, there's a bunch of countries that are now saying Israel or the global community needs to recognize Palestine as a state, and they're going to do it in September at the UN. And what they're saying is, if Israel doesn't basically do a ceasefire, doesn't stop massacring Palestinians and starving them to death, that's it. We're going to recognize a Palestinian state. Which, look, on the one hand, it's like, I'm glad that somebody's saying, let's recognize a Palestinian state. On the other hand, it's almost like they're giving like a consolation prize, since the genocide is nearly complete. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, for the 7 remaining living Palestinians, you have a state now, right? Like, that's sort of what this is. It's like a virtue signal. It's like an attempt to make up for the fact that the world just sat there and watched and actively supported Israel as they did a genocide. And now these countries realize, well, hold on, this is going to look really bad in the history books, and we look like the fucking historical monsters that we are. And so now it's an attempt to make up for that fact, right? To say, no, we were on the right side. In fact, we even recognize a Palestinian state. I mean, look, the main thing you need to do right this second, number one, bring all the aid into Gaza that you possibly fucking can. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number two, take all the weapons away from Israel. Don't send any more money. Don't send any more weapons. And fucking arrest Netanyahu. Like, that's the shit you actually got to do in this moment right now. This is like, you know, you could look at this as maybe it's an attempt to put some diplomatic pressure on Israel to stop. But at the same time, it's like, it just feels like a too little too late type thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just too little too late. All right. And then we're almost done here, guys. But Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, was doing an event with Breitbart, and he said that in the budget bill that they passed are, quote, there's a backdoor for privatizing Social Security called Trump accounts. They have this thing called Trump accounts in there. It's, quote, a backdoor for privatizing Social Security. So they're just saying the quiet part out loud now. They're just saying the quiet part out loud. They're like, yeah, that's our goal. Our goal is to privatize Social Security. So at the same time, we're destroying Medicare and Medicaid and SNAP, which is the food stamps program. At the same time, we're ruining all that stuff. We're also going to try to ruin this too. Social Security, which is like, there's a reason Social Security polls so fucking popular, because it keeps elderly people out of poverty in this country. And they're going to try to take that money, let their Wall Street asshole friends get a cut, invest it, and then what happens when we have a massive economic downturn? Well, all the old people are fucked. That's what happens. But they don't care. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about them. All right, and then finally, Mayor Eric Adams, we just got word from an article in Gothamist that his re-election campaign submitted fake petition signatures in an effort to secure a spot on the November ballot as an independent. So not going to be surprised to learn Eric Adams cutting corners, lying, cheating, just got caught doing it. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I wonder if he'll get kicked off the ballot or not. But in all seriousness, we probably want him to stay on the ballot for the simple reason that we want every non-Zoran candidate to split the votes between them, right? So you want Adams on there, you want Curtis Lee on there, you want Andrew Cuomo on there, and let them fight amongst each other, because the Zoran base is united and they're ready to go. It's over 50%. And so let's have all of them stay in. We'd like that. I mean, I think Zoran could beat any of them even head-to-head, but the more the merrier, because that still ends up helping Zoran. And then finally, I know you guys have seen this, but there's this horrible, horrible, horrible plan that just came out of Texas. It's a gerrymandering plan, a redistricting plan. And Trump said to Texas, we need 5 more seats. We need to pick up 5 more seats for Congress. And it's his attempt to rig it, keep a Republican majority, knowing this is the only way that we can keep getting his shitty fucking agenda through. And so realizing that, hey, the 2028 midterms are not looking great, this is their way of cheating, to say this is how we keep our edge, right? So they drew up this draft plan. The draft plan includes 5 more Republican seats in Texas. I mean, Texas was already gerrymandered to the high heavens. This just makes it even worse, right? And so for the first time in my life, when Democrats saw that, for the first time ever in my life, Democrats saw that and they went, we're not going to let this happen. So in other words, okay, you guys want to do that? Go right ahead. You can do that. California now is going to do the same thing. And so Gavin Newsom came out, and there's this article in the Texas Tribune. It says, Newsom will move to redraw California map if Texas redistricts, teeing up national fight. Gavin Newsom tweets that and says the following: fuck around and find out. This is the energy we need, bro. Like, I don't think you understand, guys. You literally cannot continue to play by the rules if the other side is not. I mean, you would look like an idiot, because you are an idiot if you do that. Imagine playing soccer with somebody and, 15 minutes in, they pick up the ball, run to the goal, and then punt it in the net. Shove the goalie down and then punt it in the net. Are you going to, well, we're going to play by the original rules because we are better than you and we're holier than thou and this is the right way to play, so we're going to, and it's like, if they keep doing that and the score is fucking like 12-0, at some point you either stop playing, right, which is logical, or you say, okay, no, we're going to play by the same fucking rules. And if anything, maybe we'll throw in some other shit that gives us a bigger edge because you already cheated so much to get to this point, right? You got to do it. You got to do it. So if Texas is saying, hey, we're going to redraw our map to create 5 seats, Gavin Newsom should say we're going to create 10 Democratic seats. How about that? Right? Let them know. You can't fucking do this. You can't do this, because my whole life, this is what Republicans do. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they fuck everything up, they rig it in their favor, and the Democrats go, oh, when they go low, we go high. Fuck that. Fuck that. When they go low, we go lower. Go lower. Let them know you don't fuck with us. Because to this point, they've always fucked with us and always fucking got away with it. So shout out to Gavin Newsom for doing that. That would be awesome. And that's all I got for you guys today, man. I know it's long breaking news segment, but there's a lot of stuff going on. And of course, it's not going to slow down. If there's one thing I learned about this second Trump regime, dog, this shit never slows down. There will always be something that slaps you across the face and it goes, hey, asshole, talk about this. So maybe you'll see me again later today. Oh, by the way, I'll also point out, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends if you haven't yet. We had Jamal Bowman on. That drops tonight. So Crystal and I talked to Jamal Bowman. Amazing Justice Democrat, great congressman, was basically defeated by AIPAC, right? He's gonna spill all the tea. He's gonna tell us everything about what it was like being in Congress. So that's a really good conversation. So sign up on Substack for Crystal Kyle and Friends to see that. And you will see in a little bit, you guys will also see the teaser clip with Jamal Bowman that will drop. So, all right, I'll see you guys soon.